This is, I think, an important question for us to look at. What does the new experience that's coming look like in the face of whatever we have attached it to? If you are your eyelashes and your breast implants, when you can't get them anymore, what does that look like? How do you how do you then value yourself?
I don't know if it's from pattern recognition or autism or what, but guys, there's something big coming. I sense it every time something big is going to happen. I know it's going to happen, guys. Blackouts, I'm talking inflation, layoffs. This is going to be huge.
You have to see what Peter Schiff just said about the U.S. banking system, because he claims that the U.S. banking system is on the verge of a much bigger collapse than 2008. Banks own long-term paper at extremely low interest rates. They can't compete with short-term treasuries. Mass withdrawals from depositors seeking higher yields will result in a wave of bank failures.
This is literally your sign to start doing hydroponics and growing your own food in your home, because I just juiced the celery that I grew in my little 700 square foot apartment, and it is amazing. The abundance of produce that I have in my home is just like, wow, I'm speechless.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. We are here today to talk about some of the current issues that are taking place. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun, and we're inviting you to a conversation about what is happening in our world today. We are at a point where evidence is accumulating that things are not what they once were. That many things that are happening today didn't happen 5 years ago and would have been considered absurd 5 years ago. So now we find ourselves in a situation where, what are we going to do? So we want to begin this conversation by first asking Tarvars to bring us into the truth. Will you bring us into calling for the truth, and then we'll open our discussion?
Well, certainly, and I encourage you all who are tuning in, like, subscribe, and join us in this call for truth. Shall we call for the frequency of truth to come forth? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Shall we call to speak the truth in all that we say? Calling forth the courage to speak the truth. Shall we have nothing less than the truth within our experience? Now that we're all truthed up, speak about the truth of what's happening. So
Yes.
yeah, we're confronted. Our camera lady, she was saying people on social media and who other people who she's encountered, they feel like something is upon us. No one knows exactly what, but you got preppers, you got people like, we're going to war, the aliens are coming, there's this and there's that. It's a lot happening.
Yes, there is. And there seems to be a push to move humanity towards fear, and lots of fearful. I haven't heard anything that sounds like paradise coming. I haven't heard anything that sounded like nirvana. I have only heard shortages and lack of goods and services, and closing of and burning of companies and factories. I haven't heard anything that sounds like everyone will be well and rich later.
Yeah, well, we'd have to be able to imagine it, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Use our imagination. And it's a good point that there's just a lot of fear. That's typically the tactic, but I'm glad you mentioned it, because I was thinking about this a few days ago, like, man, all I see is fear everywhere, and how imperative it is for us to combat it. You know, for example, what is the future that we want? You know, and as you've mentioned, what we fear, we draw near.
Right.
And the fear that they're perpetuating, you know, that there's shortage, that there's this, that there's that. We know we live in an infinite universe. It's abundant. It doesn't have to be lack, but if we accept that narrative, we get to live that experience. So what are your thoughts on this idea of the necessity to get a grip on the fear that's being projected on us, and the idea of how we need to take back control over the narrative of our reality.
I think that's very true. I also think that things happen in bite-sized pieces. So having raised children and been with many people over many decades, I see that most people have exactly what they want. Like if you walk into their homes, whether they're rich or poor, what's important to them is there. Like whatever their habits are, those habits are satisfied, and you can see it in their lifestyle. If they like to have food cooked a certain way, that food will be there. If they like certain recreational things, they will have those things or have the method of how to get those things. And that no matter how rich or poor, that they manage to get those things. So I want to lean into that clarity that it doesn't really matter where you are economically. What matters is that you allow yourself to have the thing you want to have. If what you want is security, then start moving in that direction. If what you want is sovereignty, then move in that direction. If what you want is to have mastery over yourself, then move in that direction. And I think I have noticed that everyone manifests what they want. And I
So
also
true.
noticed that what they don't have is what they have not put the necessary energy into getting. So I'm not saying pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I'm saying that we are like a crystal and we broadcast what we want. So we end up with what we're broadcasting, the frequency match for that. So if what we really want is a expensive handbag, even if we don't have a house, we manage to get that handbag.
Yeah.
So I'm saying let's marshal these universal laws into wanting to be fed, wanting to be smart, wanting to be sovereign, wanting to work with other like-minded people, wanting for your children and grandchildren to have a better place, a more prosperous and less imprisoned environment. That's what I'm really saying.
Yeah, I'm with that. What I'm picking up from that is, first off, is really good, but I see the future requires us to change our perception and understanding of who and what we are.
Yes.
Especially being that we know the money system is going to collapse, and how we go about exchanging things or even attracting things into our reality without the idea or the component of, or the medium of money.
Yes, this is such a big idea. So many of us have identified our beingness with money. We identify ourselves as successful, or we identify ourselves as high value, like you're a high value individual. So what happens when the value is removed? What then happens? Introductory energetic clearing. This shamanic clearing specifically targets addictions, negative thought forms, anger spheres, and more. Of the Sun cleans and clears the primary things affecting our energetic body and gives us tools to support our healing journey.
This service is priced perfectly for your regular energetic maintenance. Recommended use is once a month. For more information and sign up, visit ofthesun.com.
I think there's any variables that change in that equation. I think one becomes valueless
or
devalued.
So it's important that we start separating ourselves from the artificial constructs. People identify with it as if it were a limb. Like my arm is now how I value myself because I have money, or I live in a certain neighborhood, or I can drive a certain car. It is so valuable to me. It is as if it were part of my body. That may need to change. We may need to find the intrinsic value in the soul of who we are, what it is that we can offer, how it is that we interact, what it is we leave behind for our children, what is it that we can perpetuate from our desire to be greater. That is not outside of ourselves, but is something that is inside of ourselves that can be manifested outside. If you have the idea that you want to grow food, that is an internal idea that then manifests as an outside idea that then does give you value because you can feed yourself and others. That's different than thinking I'm a millionaire and that's all I need to be. And now when the millionaire part is removed, when the money may or may not exist anymore, how do you value yourself? If you've got the cabbages and the potatoes in the field, your values still exist. If the money has been removed from your account, how do you justify how you value yourself? I value man, I value woman. This is, I think, an important question for us to look at. What does the new experience that's coming look like in the face of whatever we have attached it to? If you are your eyelashes and your breast implants, when you can't get them anymore, what does that look like? How do you then value yourself? If you can't leave the house without doing things that are artificial and outside of yourself, when it becomes irrelevant, whether you have those things, then what happens to your psyche? Where is the value that you find through what you do to exalt self and others? This is what this conversation is about. We are encouraging you to think about, what does the new world look like in the face of all of your accolades, all of your wealth, all of the things you have acknowledged, all of your degrees? How does that feed into the next experience? How do you manifest that to be in a community of people and be of service? If there were no money, if we traded for everything, how does that work? Do you have a thought?
Yeah, again, I'm saying the major change in personality that's required. But again, first imagining, what does my future self look like in that experience? What does my future self look like? And I like to share a little bit because when my name is lexigrammed, which it is using the letters in your name and rearranging them to find words that are contained within your name, it says Harvest Man. And so I see myself as the Harvest Man in the future. And the more I focus my awareness, I start seeing the materialization of opportunity, of ideas, concepts being presented because it's within me. And it's interesting because you've mentioned before about manifestation, how we think that we're pulling something outside of us into our reality, but you manifest what you are.
Yes.
We're constantly manifesting. The moment to moment experience is a manifestation. So, this, back to what I was saying, this idea of the Harvest Man, I see myself in the future providing vegetables to people.
Yes.
Greens, to be that person, to be of support, to be able to show people how to do this in a time of need. There is an immense amount of value. Like I've had visions of, people gonna be praising me, man. Yo, T, do you have any of those sprouts or any of those purple potatoes or green onions? I'm like, I check my inventory. I got you.
It's so important to be now who you want to be in the future.
Yes.
So I've spent my life working to put down anti-life, things that are against life, darkness in every way, whether it's a property clearing or a soul clearing or a healing. It is to move anti-life out. I intend to continue to be that, but I hope to be even more so that.
Yes.
For more people, this idea of demonstrable evidence of being able to remove anti-life from our environment. So I definitely see that in the same way you remove hunger, you removed anti-life.
Yes.
People get to eat instead of starve. That's removing anti-life. So we're encouraging everyone to take a moment. What do you look like in the future? So Tarvars always has on a different outfit.
I know I look like I came from the desert. She said to me, I look like I'm sitting next to Muhammad. Just T.
So what does that look like? Does it look like you are the one who contributes to the well-being of others? Does it look like you're the parent who takes the time to be concerned about the child? Does it look like you're the one who is walking through nature being thankful that nature exists? Are you the one who's talking to the blueberries so that they will heal everyone of whatever problems they have? What do you look like? What does your outfit look like? What does your body look like in its glorious health of being free? Being free from having to experience what we have experienced for many years, where we're really being inundated from the air, from the ground, from other people, from all kinds of authority figures that are moving us as cattle, as herd, into directions that are not in our best interests. So what does it look like? What have you chosen? What is it that you will do? What is it that you think of? What contribution do you have? And we would love to hear from you. Did you have anything else on this?
Yeah, it was just the thought of the need to put down the fear so that we can imagine and see that. Because I can see how fear just really, like you say, it's a frequency that's pulsing, and if you're in it, that's all you're seeing. Anything that vibrates at that level. So if I know we got a jet, but maybe next time we can speak a little more on things like joy and
yes,
just moving more into flipping that frequency. But we could do a call for the truth card.
We're going to do a call for the truth card too, which is great. But I also want to speak a little bit about this idea of fear. It is so important that when you recognize that you have a fear, that you lean into it.
Yeah.
Lean into it. Do the thing you're afraid of. See what happens. Then take the next bigger bully, the next bigger fear, and lean into that. I'm in the business of doing that. And eventually you realize you're the fear buster. Like you start with yourself, with whatever your fear is concerning your intimate thoughts of yourself, and test it out. Diminish it. Push it down. Make it irrelevant. May your clarity about where you're going and what you're doing and who you are make your fear irrelevant. That is a gift that I give you all. Make your fear irrelevant so that you may be all that you are. And so I'll start shuffling the cards.
Yes.
For our call for the truth. These are the divination cards from Call for the Truth. And today, Tarvars will pull one of these cards. And he's working on a question that he will ask, which I don't know what it is. He'll share it with us. And he'll pull a card and then read the card to us.
Ha! It's always right. I'm like, no, I want this card. Come on now. All right, so
are you going to take that other one or no? No? Okay.
No, it's this one. And when I saw it, I was like, yep, this is the right one. So the theme is doubt, and this is dealing with our root chakra. Our doubt holds back what the universe wants to give. And to keep it brief, since it's root, it makes me think about these concepts we were talking about. A lot of what people are in fear of is survival, having the basic needs to exist. And if we are in fear or doubt that we can do it, we're holding back the universe. We're stopping the flow of, again, what's in us to be drawn forth.
And there are those who know how to live. They're Amish, they're Hutterites, they're all kinds of people who live on this planet who don't live in the way that we currently live with cell phones and computers, and who don't necessarily live with electricity and cars. Maybe we should ask them to do some classes for us.
Yeah, you got some Amish workshops around here.
The idea being that
Sign me up.
not everyone, we don't have to. A lot of what will make people lose their lives is thinking that they cannot live. Many people live with in levels of experience with the earth that are much less sophisticated than what most of us live in. The ability to, they still laugh, they still have fun, they still make love, they still enjoy life. We can too. So I would lean into that. Thank you so much for joining us. We thank you for being here. We give you the greetings of In Lakesh, which is oneness, and Veritas, which is truth, with honor, respect, and gratitude. Thank you.